Turboprop Flight Simulator, one of the most well-known mobile flight simulators in the world, with over 10 million downloads on the Google Play Store. For aviation fans, it's a familiar name. But how did it all begin? And how did a solo project grow into such a success? TFS is developed by a single person, Alexandru Petre, an independent developer from Romania, known online as AX Gamesoft. He has a long background in game development, with experience dating back to the early 2000s. From 2003 to 2007, Alexandru worked as a programmer at AMC Creation Studios, where he wrote code for a strategy game, developed a pathfinding algorithm, created tools and device controls for the game's editor, and wrote the development documentation for the project. Between 2007 and 2012, he worked independently under the name AX Gamesoft, developing his own projects, such as the casual game Voronis. During this time, he handled everything, from game design and programming, to graphics, shaders, sound effects, and music, even creating the game's website himself. Since 2013, Alexandru has been working as a freelance programmer, specializing in Unity 3D and XNA. He has developed games and applications for various clients, designing architectures, writing scripts, customizing and extending Unity editor functionality, modeling and texturing 3D objects, creating terrains, shaders, and animations, and building particle systems and editors for XNA-based projects. And obviously, since then, he has also been developing the solo project, the one we know today as Turboprop Flight Simulator. But let's dive deeper. As already mentioned, before creating Turboprop Flight Simulator, Alexandru worked as a freelancer. A good example of this is Warplane Flight Simulator, released by Fog in 2015. The game includes various references to Turboprop FS, such as a similar design of the buttons, same settings and controls, same sky presets, warning sounds, and more. Not so long ago, in a YouTube comment, AX Gamesoft confirmed releasing the game as a task from Fog, while working as a freelancer. 730 Flight Simulator and Flight Simulator 747, released by Fog, seem very close to Warplane FS by their style, which makes it seem like they were developed by Alexandru too. But apparently, we never got confirmation to that theory. In any case, working on these fun flight simulators inspired Alexandru to create his own game, alone and not in a team, Turboprop Flight Simulator. Turboprop Flight Simulator officially took off on April 19, 2017, hitting both the Google Play Store and Apple App Store. Even in its earliest versions, it was an exciting playground for aviation fans. Free to download, no mandatory in-app purchases, and only optional ads for extra in-game currency. Players could explore different missions, take to the skies in free flight mode, and enjoy multiple aircraft types under various sky presets. But what really set TFS apart were the updates, each one gradually transforming it from a fun hobby project into a full-fledged flight simulator experience. Let's dive into the most important milestones in its history. The first major update, version 1.03, introduced the MC400, a different variant of the C400. It came with a new maximum speed, G-limits, and thrust-to-weight ratio. Today, it's impossible to imagine TFS without the MC400, especially its iconic JATO system that became a player favorite. Version 1.05 finally fixed a truly bizarre bug. Before this, jumping out of a plane didn't lead to a dramatic landing. It sent players plummeting through the terrain. It's safe to say this bug fix was long overdue. The 1.09 update brought a huge gameplay leap. For the first time, parachutes allowed players to land safely after jumping out of planes, and airdropping vehicles and supply boxes became possible. Suddenly, TFS wasn't just about flying, it was about strategy and exploration. Version 1.11 introduced passenger aircraft, including the RL-42 and RL-72, originally without liveries. Players could now transport virtual passengers, and the HC-400 finally received a shiny fuselage, moving away from the plain white it had sported since launch. Update 1.13 enhanced passenger planes further, adding real-world inspired liveries, like the famous colorful bird designs based on Nok Air. HUDs were added to the RL variants, and cockpits became more detailed, making flying feel even more authentic. 1.15 was a major overhaul. The pause menu finally displayed the main island map, simplifying navigation. Players could place markers and assign landing runways. Aircraft and vehicles gained realistic floating and sinking physics, a feature still rare in flight simulators today. The SCR button allowed players to customize cockpit screens, and the iconic bank angle and sink rate warnings were added. Autopilot arrived in 1.17, letting players set speed, altitude, heading, and even land at the airports automatically. This upgrade transformed long flights from tedious to relaxing. Later updates expanded this to any airport, not just the nearest one. Version 1.19 added the E-42, an airborne early warning aircraft based on the RL-72. It still holds untapped potential, with future radar features awaiting release. 1.18c followed with Search Cam mode, letting players record cinematic flights, plus alternative liveries for HC-400 and MC-400. 1.19b introduced the UTV C1 tactical truck, complete with a platform trailer for transporting cargo, expanding the game beyond just aircraft. Update 1.20 marked TFS's first VTOL aircraft, the XV-40, with 1.20p adding autopilot, auto thrust, and auto brakes, making vertical takeoffs and landings smoother than ever. Version 1.21 let players spawn 2 aircraft simultaneously and added a winter preset with thunderstorm effects. 1.22 introduced the archipelago map, 4 islands, each with its own airport, opening up new exploration opportunities. 1.23 improved XV-40 gameplay with a cargo hook, and added fuel trucks and airports with fueling stations. 1.24 brought the KC-400 tanker plane, enabling mid-air refueling for multiple aircraft and any formation flight mode. 1.25 introduced the PV-40, a luxury XV-40 variant. 1.25.3 added map secrets and the signal detector feature. 1.26 allowed players to spawn all aircraft on the map. Version 1.27 was a game changer. AI aircraft finally populated the skies, making TFS feel alive. 1.27.1 added remote control, letting players switch between multiple aircraft effortlessly. 1.28 introduced JATO for the MC-400 and hoist for XV-40 and PV-40. Version 1.29 added the PS-26 seaplane, capable of landing and taking off from water, along with a new city and harbor. 1.29.2 gave players a secret menu level and an autumn preset. Update 1.30 brought the long-awaited military cargo C-130, with 1.30.1 adding the HC-130 search and rescue variant, mid-flight refueling probes, and underwing fuel tanks. Update 1.30.2 introduced the MC-130, a special operations variant of the C-130. It inherited the JATO feature first seen on the MC-400. Update 1.30.4 brought a fully redesigned free-flight menu. It looked more professional, although slightly more complicated, but unlocked incredible flexibility. Players could now place user-controlled aircraft at specific spots on the airport and customize numerous flight parameters. Meanwhile, the MC-130 received a regular radome, the HC-130 got underwing fuel tanks, and vehicles were named to sound more professional. Small touches that added to the simulator's growing realism. Version 1.31 was transformative. Explosions, fire, and smoke effects brought the world to life, while enemy SAM batteries added real threat to the skies. Special operations aircraft gained flare and chaff decoys, along with missile detector systems, so players could feel the tension of actual combat. This update also added the spring season preset and contextual UI shortcuts to make operating aircraft systems faster and more intuitive. Version 1.32 introduced the MV-40, a special operations version of the XV-40, along with transparent windows for ground vehicles, further bridging the gap between realism and fun. Update 1.33 brought the Fulton Skyhook system to the HC-400 and MC-400. Players could now pick up cargo boxes from various locations around the map using a hook, a feature straight out of action movies. The update also fixed a visual bug where opening the XV-40's hook door while in water would produce hilarious results. Finally, update 1.34, the latest at the time of the recording, introduced the MS-26, a special operations variant of the PS-26 seaplane. Through these updates, Turboprop Flight Simulator had grown from a simple flight sandbox into a complex, dynamic world. Even though in the 7 years of development TFS progressed so well, it's far from ending. The game has special tabs regarding upcoming features, near-term priority plans and long-term priority plans. Near-term priority plans that are worth mentioning are Gunships mode, that will feature dynamically generated war campaign centered around gunships versions of current aircraft like A-42, AC-130, AC-400 and AV-40, weaponized vehicles, and a new island, small and deserted, for training and target practice of the upcoming gunships. Some of the most exciting long-term features include boats and ships, helicopters, TBM-940, OV-10 Bronco concept VTOL, airport fire truck, surreal game mode called Dream Mode that happens while sleeping in PV-40's bed, and the ability to save game progress online, so when you switch to a different device, you will have to start over. TFS future is looking very bright. Turboprop Flight Simulator is more than just a mobile game. It's proof of what patience, passion, and long-term dedication can create. What started as a solo project by one developer, working quietly and consistently over many years, grew into a living world, enjoyed by millions of players around the globe. Alexandru Petre didn't chase trends or quick success. He didn't lock features behind paywalls or rush unfinished ideas. Instead, he kept building, update after update. Each version of TFS tells a story of persistence, of someone choosing to keep going, even when progress was slow and recognition wasn't guaranteed. For players, Turboprop Flight Simulator became many things. For some, it was their first introduction to aviation. For others, it was a reminder of why they fell in love with flying in the first place. And for many, it became a canvas, where cinematic videos, crazy landings, and impossible missions came to life. The reminder that big things don't always begin in big studios. That a single person, following a clear vision and refusing to give up, can build something that resonates with the world. Dreams don't take off all at once, but if you keep moving forward, eventually they fly.
be the best. Headed out for change, I just started on my quest. Yeah, the world will know my name, I'm excited, I'm obsessed. No one in my way but myself and a test. Yeah, I will be the best, yeah, I will be the best. Life is just a game, I'll be playing till I rest. I'll be there to claim my own spot among